How's it going, Henry family? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are all doing well. Today, we are talking about rimfire, and specifically 22 Magnum and 17 HMR. Before we dive into these small but mighty cartridges, let's take a brief look at their history. Henry Repeating Arms has always had a passion for lever-action rimfire rifles, starting with the classic H001 more than 25 years ago. While 22 long rifle is the most common rimfire cartridge in the world and arguably probably the most versatile, outdoorsmen, varmint hunters, and even survivalists shouldn't overlook the 22 Magnum and 17 HMRs in our lineup. Introduced clear back in 1959, the 22 Magnum uses a larger case than the 22 LR in both length and width. The 22 Magnum does use a lot of the same bullet weights as the 22 LR. However, these projectiles are moving a lot faster with a lot flatter trajectories and more terminal performance downrange. For example, the 22 Magnum is able to send a 40 grain projectile downrange at more than 650 feet per second faster than a 22 LR and with double the amount of kinetic energy. This makes the 22 Magnum an extremely effective tool for varmint hunting, offering more knockdown power for those groundhogs, raccoons, hares, foxes, and even bobcats. Personally, the 22 Magnum is my favorite rimfire cartridge. I love it for all sorts of hunting, and it's a great rifle to keep in the truck if you're around the farm and ranch to get rid of those unwanted pests. Nearly half a century after the 22 Magnum was introduced, there's finally a new kid on the block, the 17 HMR. The 17 HMR uses the exact same case as the 22 Magnum. However, it is necked down to accommodate that .17 caliber. Using the same casing as a 22 Magnum, the 17 HMR is lighter and more aerodynamic, resulting in blistering speeds and amazing accuracy. The 17 HMR is actually capable of achieving more than 2,500 feet per second out of a rifle barrel with even standard loads. Despite having less power on target, the 17 HMR has much flatter trajectories than the 22 Magnum, with nearly zero bullet drop out to 100 yards. Here at Henry, we offer a ton of variety when it comes to 22 Magnum and 17 HMR. Out here in front of me are just a few of those offerings. Starting over here, we have the small game carbine, which comes in 22 Magnum. It's got a larger loop, a shorter octagon barrel, and is a real pleasure to shoot. Moving on down the line here, we have the classic Golden Boy. This is gonna come in 22 Magnum and 17 HMR. It's a classic and a beautiful rimfire. Here in the middle, we have one of my personal favorites, which is the Magnum Express. This thing is built to hunt. It is extremely accurate and it comes optic ready, so you can put whatever scope or red dot you would like to put on it. Next, we have a new one to me and something that has become very fun to shoot, and that is our pump action 22 Magnum. Yes, this is a pump action Henry. It's a lot of fun. Once you get the hang of it, it's really fast and easy to stay on target. It's been a very fun gun to get to learn and shoot. Last but not least, clear down here, we have our Frontier model, which comes in 17 HMR and 22 Magnum. This is the first 17 Henry that I have owned, and I really enjoy it. I like the 17 as a cartridge, and here in the lever action Henry, it works great. All right, Henry family, now that you know a little bit of the history of the 22 Magnum and 17 HMR, it's time to quit talking. I've got my eye protection on, I've got my ear protection on. That can only mean one thing. It's time to shoot these firearms. I've got them all turned around, facing downrange now. I'm gonna grab one of my favorites first, and that is the Magnum Express. This thing is awesome. It's probably my favorite rimfire that I own. It's in 22 Magnum, and it was designed to hunt. which is what I do best. I've got this one topped off here with a 2 to 7 Leupold VX Freedom. And this thing is a fun shooter. It's extremely accurate. It comes ready to mount your optic on. You can get this thing dialed in at longer distances because of that optic. And I'm telling you what, this thing is mean on coons, bobcats, foxes, prairie dogs, gophers, groundhogs, you name it. It's gonna put them down. It's loaded up here, so let's do some shooting. All right, guys, there is the Magnum Express. Like I said, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, rimfire that we have here at Henry. There is nothing smoother than a Henry lever action rimfire. It's just like butter, guys, I'm telling you. They're just a ton of fun to shoot. Let's grab another one here and go down the line and keep shooting these things. Next up is probably the most unique rimfire we have in the lineup, and that is our pump action 22 Magnum here. This thing is so cool. The wood on this one in particular is just absolutely gorgeous. And I'm telling you guys, once you get used to running this pump action, it is so fast and you can stay on target so well with it. I'm gonna turn around here, do a little shooting with this thing and show you just that. There is the pump action 22 Magnum, guys. Just a ton of fun to shoot. It's something different. I am so used to racking a lever. Being able to run this pump reminds me of using a shotgun back in the day, doing some pheasant hunting and quail hunting. I'm telling you what, this thing has become a favorite of mine, to be honest. It's just really cool. And if you're looking for a unique 22 Magnum, check out the pump action Henry 22 Magnum. This video would definitely not be complete without doing some shooting with our classic Golden Boy. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. You've probably seen me shoot it and seen it across all sorts of Henry platforms, but it is a classic and it's a smooth shooter. So let's fire some downrange. As always, guys, the Golden Boy is awesome to shoot. It's super smooth. One cool thing here about the Golden Boy is you can get this in 22 Magnum or 17 HMR. Whichever you choose, it's right here in the Golden Boy. If you're looking for something a little bit shorter and more compact in our 22 Magnum lineup, look no further than this guy right here. The small game carbine comes with a shorter octagon barrel. It is optics ready and has a larger loop for those guys that may have gloves or bigger hands. This thing is going to be super comfortable for you. Let's fire a few downrange. The small game carbine, like I said, is a great option if you're looking for that shorter, more compact rimfire. And in 22 Magnum, it's gonna have enough knockdown power for any of those varmints you need to take down. All right, Henry family, last but not least here is the speed demon of the group, and that is our Frontier chambered in 17 HMR. You know, I have this exact same firearm in 22 LR, and it's by far my favorite 22 LR that I own. I take it squirrel hunting and rabbit hunting all the time. It's accurate and a smooth shooter, so I'm super excited to have it here in 17 HMR. You know, eventually I might end up putting a good optic on this thing to really get great groups at distance, like say 100+ yards. You know, that is one nice thing about the 17 HMR. It's extremely accurate even at distance. I've got it loaded up here, so let's turn around and put some rounds downrange. Smooth shooter, guys. Even with that ballistic tipped pointed bullet there of the 17 HMR, it's still extremely smooth here in the lever action rifle. I've not had any issues with it whatsoever. Super excited to finally have a 17 HMR in my lineup. Over the coming weeks here, guys, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at these firearms behind me, chambered in 22 Magnum and 17 HMR. We're gonna do some ballistic testing, maybe some speed testing. We might even go on a prairie dog hunt. We're gonna have some fun with these awesome rimfires behind me that are sometimes left out. It seems like the 22 LR is definitely the most talked about rimfire, but in my opinion, the 22 Magnum and 17 HMR are two cartridges that should not be overlooked. So no matter which you choose, the 22 Magnum or the 17 HMR, they're both going to do the job. They're both great for varmint hunters as well as the guy out there on the farm and ranch wanting to control pests. If you want something that is a little harder hitting, go for the 22 Magnum. But if you want that long range, flat trajectory, go with the 17 HMR. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I definitely enjoyed bringing it to you. God bless, guys. And remember, if it's not made in America, it's not going to be made at all. We'll see you in the next one.